You have no money, no rank, no leverage, and yet every man who ever seized real power in this world began from that exact position, not from wealth, not from privilege, from something far more dangerous. Perception. Machiavelli did not write for rulers who already sat on thrones. He wrote for the men who had decided they were going to occupy one. And that is what this is. Not motivation, not a pep talk. This is a manual, cold, deliberate, and without apology. Because the world does not hand anything to the patient man who keeps his head down and waits. It gives everything to the man who walks into a room as if the room already belongs to him before he has earned a single credential to prove it. This is the first law of power. Your reality is determined by what you project, not what you own. The man with nothing who moves like he has everything will be treated better than the man with everything who carries himself like an apology. Power is never given. It is assumed. It is put on before the battle begins, and right now, you are going to learn exactly how to put it on. The mask is not deception. It is precision. Here is what most men spend their entire lives refusing to accept. The world does not see you as you are. It sees you as you present yourself. And that space between who you are and how you appear. That gap is not a flaw. It is the most powerful tool available to you. Machiavelli said it without flinching. Men judge by appearances because they rarely have the capacity or the patience to look any deeper. So if you are sitting around waiting for the world to recognize your actual worth before you start carrying yourself accordingly, you will be waiting until there is nothing left to wait for. That is not how power operates. That is how powerlessness does. The mask is not a lie. The mask is architecture. Every ruler who ever commanded a room understood that authority was communicated before a single word was spoken, through posture, through stillness, through the controlled way a powerful man occupies space. You may not have a crown, but you have the way you walk, the way you hold silence as if it costs something, the way you never rush and never over-explain. These are your instruments. The man who uses them with intention is already playing an entirely different game than the people standing next to him. People will fill the gaps of what they do not know about you with whatever you make them feel. Make them feel that you are someone they cannot afford to underestimate. Silence is the most expensive currency you own. Most men do not lose their power through bad decisions. They lose it through their mouths. They talk too much. They explain themselves too much. They justify too much. Every word spoken without purpose is a withdrawal from whatever power they are trying to build. Silence, by contrast, is a deposit. It compounds over time, and when it lands in the right moment, it carries more weight than any argument ever could. Machiavelli made the warning plain. The man who reveals too much hands his opposition a detailed map. Every complaint you voice tells the world exactly where you are vulnerable. Every plan you announce before it is executed gives everyone around you time to prepare a counter. Every emotion you display openly is a negotiation you have already surrendered before it started. The most commanding figures in history were never the loudest men in the room. They were the stillest. There is a psychology to strategic silence that most people never discover. When you stop over-explaining, people grow uncomfortable in that quiet. And in their discomfort, they begin to project significance onto you. They assume depth. They assume certainty. They assume whatever you are withholding must be formidable. You become the unknown quantity, and unknown quantities command more attention than open books ever will. Silence also gives you time to observe before you are observed. While others rush to fill every pause with noise, you are reading the room, mapping intentions, and positioning yourself several moves ahead. That is not passivity. That is predatory patience. The lion does not announce the hunt. He watches, he waits, and when the moment is right, he moves with a precision that leaves no room for response. Master your silence before you attempt to master anything else. Presence is not purchased, it is built. No school will teach you this. No billboard will carry it. Your financial situation is temporary. Your presence is immediate, and presence, real, commanding, undeniable presence, is something you can develop right now, today, with nothing in your pocket and everything disciplined in your mind. This is where Machiavellian thinking separates itself from every other philosophy of power. It does not tell you to wait for perfect conditions. It tells you to command the room you are already standing in. Because people do not respond to your bank balance when you walk through a door. They respond to your posture, your eye contact, your stillness, the quiet certainty with which you occupy space as if you were always meant to be there. Wealth can be hidden. Poverty can be hidden. But presence cannot be faked by the weak and cannot be stripped from the strong. Dark psychology refers to this as perceived high value, and it functions entirely independently of actual material wealth. When a man moves with unshakable certainty, speaks without rushing, listens without appearing threatened, disagrees without losing composure, and steps into uncertainty as though it is familiar ground, people assign him authority automatically, instinctively, almost involuntarily. They cannot explain it, they simply feel it. Pursue real material wealth with relentless intention. Build every skill, every resource, every connection with ruthless focus. But while you are building, and building always takes time, never allow your external circumstances to reduce the authority with which you carry yourself. A king in exile is still a king. He does not forget that while he is waiting to return. The long game is the only game worth playing. One of the most destructive tendencies in a modern man is the addiction to visible, immediate progress. Men who work fiercely in short bursts, then abandon the field the moment results do not appear on the timeline their impatience has invented. Men who launch 10 things and complete none of them, because the compound value of patient, sustained effort is invisible in the short term. And invisible progress feels identical to no progress when the only measuring tool is instant gratification. This is one of the most exploitable weaknesses of the current era. Because while the impatient man cycles through strategies, burns energy on frustration, and quits positions before they ever pay off, the patient man is compounding quietly, relentlessly, without announcement, without needing external validation to keep moving. Machiavelli wrote extensively about fortuna, the force of circumstance and timing that governs a significant portion of human outcomes. But he was equally clear that fortune favors the man who has prepared himself so completely, so patiently, that when the window opens, even briefly, even without warning, he is already in position to step through it without hesitation. Fortune does not wait for you to get ready. It rewards the man for whom readiness has become a permanent condition. The long game is not slow in spirit. It is ferociously active in preparation while appearing still on the surface. Like deep ocean water that looks calm from above while a powerful current runs beneath. The long game player is always building, always positioning, while the impatient men around him mistake his patience for weakness. And that mistake costs them everything. Caesar did not cross the Rubicon on impulse. That moment, which appeared sudden and audacious to everyone watching, was the final visible step of an invisible staircase built across years of military positioning, political calculation, and strategic restraint. That is the long game. Not waiting without purpose, preparing without pause, moving without noise, arriving without warning. The final decree, become untouchable. Everything covered here has been building to a single point, a single decision that only you can make. The decision to become untouchable. Not untouchable in the sense that life will no longer hit you. It will. Circumstances will turn. People will fail you. Plans will fall apart. That is not the promise. The promise is something more durable than immunity from hardship. It is the absolute, unshakable certainty that nothing which happens to you on the outside will ever again have the authority to define you on the inside. That is what untouchable actually means. Your identity, your direction, your self-worth, your vision. No longer negotiable with the outside world, no longer subject to the approval of crowds, the cruelty of critics, or the weight of current circumstances. You have removed those external forces from the position of authority they once held over you, and replaced them with your own disciplined mind and long-term vision. Machiavelli's deepest lesson was never about manipulation as an end. It was about sovereignty. The total internal governance of a man so structurally grounded, so strategically aware, that the chaos of the world around him becomes not a threat, but a landscape he navigates better than anyone else in the room. That sovereignty is built from every principle here. The perception you wear with intention, the silence you guard with discipline, the presence you project regardless of circumstance, the patience you maintain when everything inside you wants to rush. Every one of those disciplines stacks on the others until what you have built is not just a strategy, it is a fortress. Constructed not from stone, but from the only truly indestructible material that exists, a fully committed, fully sovereign human mind that has decided, without apology and without retreat, to claim everything it is capable of becoming. That man is untouchable, and that man is you.